Oh, yeah. Is it Saturday already? Have we made it through yet another week of Star Wars news? The Empire magazine dropped on, or at least a sneak peek at it, dropped on Thursday, and we have so many more interviews from this already released. Jon Favreau, the director of the movie. Pedro Pascal, of course, the star who plays Din Djarin himself, who's likely to die in this movie. And Jeremy Allen White, playing the son of Jabba the Hutt, a.k.a. Stinky the Hutt, a.k.a. Rotta the Hutt. And we got to talk about this could be horrible news that Dawn of the Jedi, the James Mangold Star Wars movie that was announced over almost 3 years ago, could be canceled. But in better news, we have more Ahsoka Season 2 leaks and an update for the Knights of the Old Republic remake, which is also good news. So we got a lot to get into and not a lot of time. So without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's it been doing on this fine Saturday afternoon? So it's been a crazy week for Star Wars news. I mean, we got the Empire magazine on Thursday. Tuesday, we were talking about Obi-Wan freaking Kenobi coming to Ahsoka Season 2. And the likelihood of that happening went through the roof with the leaked image that we got in the marketing for the crew member who said that Ewan McGregor handed him Ahsoka's lightsaber on the set of Ahsoka Season 2. Insanity, but today might, take the cake. We have more Ahsoka Season 2 leaks. We're talking about Dawn of the Jedi, and the Mandalorian and Grogu interviews just keep on coming, and they keep getting better, because Pedro Pascal and Jon Favreau are talking about how Din Djarin takes his helmet off and what that means for the character and how he's gonna die. But I won't kill off Din Djarin that quickly in a live stream. So before we dive into all of it, let's start the stream the only way we know how, by saying hi to everybody in the chat. Shall we? Brandon Baker, how we doing? Jack Robbins in the house. Cole in the building. Vegas Jedi, how we doing? Max Rebo in the house. Dave, what is up? Fearless, how we doing? Dale in the building. Mr. Marvel Studios, great name. How we doing? Jeez. Holly, what is up? Melissa, how we doing? Ian in the building. Darth Plagueis, what is up? 730 Evie, how we doing? Nathan, what is up? Cameron in the building. WV Grad, what is up? King Shadow, how we doing? Okay, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little...
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
That was quicker than I expected it to be. I was taking a nice long sip of water. Okay, so let's start with the Mando stuff. I feel like this has been what people are looking forward to the most, because over the last couple weeks, it's been the spotlight. Mando trailer, Mando interviews, Mando merch leaks, Mando, and Grogu is everywhere. Now, I do have to point out, because we won't be talking about it maybe at all today, but Maul Shadow Lord does release in 29 days. We are 1 month away from Maul Shadow Lord. Now, the news today does not dictate us to talk about Maul Shadow Lord. There is nothing new in terms of that show today. However, it is a month away. So keep that in the back of your head. So let's talk about this Mandalorian and Grogu stuff first, okay? Should we start with the Jeremy Allen White interview where he's talking about Stinky the Hutt, or do you want to start with the Pedro Pascal and Jon Favreau and how Din Djarin's going to die? What do you want to start with, chat? I'll leave it up to you. What do you want to start with? Did he say hello? I was making coffee. I did say hello. Yeah. I just need some new Star Wars at the moment. Well, you're getting it. 29 days until this year kickstarts off all this craziness. 2026, we've talked about this a million times before, but it will go down as one of the greatest Star Wars years ever. Ahsoka Season 2, Maul Shadow Lord, Mandalorian and Grogu, Star Wars Galactic Racer just keeps getting stuff that looks even cooler and cooler. You got Zero Company, the spinoff of Visions, and who knows what else that hasn't been announced yet. So it's going to be a crazy year regardless. But what do you guys want to start with? The stinky stuff? Okay, we'll start with the Rotta the Hutt. We'll start with the stinky, and then we'll get to the how Din Djarin's going to die. in the movie. But I want to put up a poll here. I want to put up a poll because I'm interested to see what you guys think of this character. Do you think, or let's put it this way, Rotta the Hutt will be ... a good guy or a bad guy? Now, the reason I ask this is because, well, his dad was not the greatest guy. Jabba the Hutt, Papa Jabba, he wasn't really great. He wasn't the best guy in the galaxy. Not going to lie. He was a pretty bad guy, if we're being honest. He was pretty bad. And he died in Return of the Jedi, which is about 5 to maybe 7 years before this movie takes place, give or take. We're not quite sure, but still, we don't know the relationship that Rotta had with his father. We don't know what the Hutts got up to in the years since we've seen little Stinky as a baby. However, a lot of what we are hearing from behind the scenes makes me think that Stinky is going to be a good guy in this movie, actually helping out Din and Grogu in their crazy adventure, which, to that point, we really don't know the plot of this movie still. I know the trailer gave us a lot about the twin Hutts and how they're the ones who are going to rip off Din Djarin's helmet. There's still a way bigger picture going on here with the remnant of the Empire, with Grand Admiral Thrawn, that will be tapped into this in this movie. But where Rotta fits into all of it, I think he will actually be a help to Din and Grogu. After their gladiator fight, we'll see them make up, sort of very similar to Thor Ragnarok. How Thor and Hulk fight in the gladiator ring, and then they become friends again after a little bit of convincing. So let's start here. Jeremy Allen White speaks a little bit of Huttese as Rotta the Hutt in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Now, we did get this nice new image of Stinky himself. I mean, come on. So last stream, we got bamboozled by AI, okay? It was not my brightest moment. In my defense, it looked very realistic. Now, looking back at it, it looks extremely not realistic because Stinky is ripped. I mean, look at that six-pack right there, or maybe even more than a six-pack. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That might not be healthy. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. He's got like a 20-pack going on here. He's ripped out of his mind. And that AI image was not. It was not at all. But really, really cool. You're going to get to see Stinky be all badass and fight Din Djarin himself. Okay. It's casting that nobody expected. There was nobody. And if you're saying, yeah, you're absolutely lying to yourself. I'll get to that super chat in 1 sec. If you're saying that you saw this coming, you're just lying to yourself. So don't do that. That's not healthy. But nobody expected, first of all, Stinky the Hutt to be in the Mandalorian and Grogu. Just nobody expected that in the first place. But even to have a Hutt like Jabba's son, nobody expected him to be voiced by Jeremy Allen White, a big-time actor in Hollywood right now. Nobody saw it coming. Now, it does make for an appealing argument that he might be a very important character, arguably a main character in this movie, which would be crazy. Imagine seeing this slugging around, swerving around. What do slugs do? They I don't know, crawl? They don't crawl, they slither. No, that's a snake. What does a slug do? Either way. To see him running around, definitely not run, but to see him running around with Din and Grogu, it would be pretty cool if he is a big hero and big part of this story. Nobody would expect it, but as we've learned from the Mandalorian show and from, the cast and crew talking about this movie, expect the unexpected. This movie's going to be quote-unquote franchise changing. So what comes with that? Well, I don't really know. Yeah. He needs some hot Twilight chicks stroking his biceps.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Really? The stream just started 10 minutes ago. And we're already losing our minds. Okay. But yes, I completely agree. No, no, I'm kidding. Okay. Jeremy Allen White, best known as Carmy in The Bear, which is a great show, by the way. Highly recommend. And as Bruce Springsteen in Deliver Me From Nowhere, is joining the Star Wars universe in The Mandalorian and Grogu. But rather than playing a Mandalorian warrior or some Imperial warlord, or even a fry cook. Hey, there is one of those in the film, and it's voiced by Martin Scorsese. Jeremy Allen White is taking on the most unlikely voice roles. Rotta the Hutt. Yes, as a Hutt as in, like, son of Jabba the Hutt. A giant galactic slug, and for devotees of the Clone Wars, the artist familiarly known as Baby Stinky in The Mandalorian and Grogu, the big screen outing for Pedro Pascal, Djarin, and his little green apprentice son. Rotta is back and all grown up and about to cross paths with our heroes, and he is more physically ferocious than you might expect, comparing him to other members of his family tree, or comparing him to other members of his family tree. Most, and I say most, because there are some outliers, but most Hutts are the way you see Jabba and the way you see the twins. Out of shape, slugs. That's what they are. I don't know. It sounds mean, but that's what they are. But then you have some outliers. In the comics, there's a Hutt. I forget his name off the top of my head, but there is a Hutt that is just like Rotta, who is absolutely jacked and has a six-pack and all that. It is not Rotta, but it is another Hutt. So there are a few outliers, but for the most part, it's like a warlord. It's like as Cassian Andor describes the Empire. They're so fat and satisfied that they don't even see you coming. These are leaders of the criminal underworld. So they just served at all times. They got these servants that can feed them at all times. They don't have to move at all because they're slugs. So they get fat. They're so fat and satisfied. They're the leaders. But here's what Jon Favreau teased about the character. Rotta is in top form, fighting in the pits, a gladiator of sorts, teases director Jon Favreau on where we'll see him. That's where we'll first get introduced to the characters in the gladiator ring. It's just a question of how big a character will he be moving forward into the story beyond that gladiator fight. For Jeremy Allen White, the voice role saw him tackling the language of fans saw Jabba speak in Return of the Jedi. As he says, there's a little bit of Huttese. I assume he's going to speak majorly basic or English that most characters speak in Star Wars, just because if he is a main character, that'll be a lot of subtitles, and I don't think that's going to work well. We also see the twin Hutts speaking basic or English in the trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu, so they might be throwing the whole Huttese thing out the window, or at least proving that Hutts can speak other languages, which would be helpful because we don't want to just sit there and read subtitles for 2.5 hours. I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't sound appealing.
This is where the fun begins.
Continuing. The actor teases, though, that he will mostly be talking in basic, which is English, while White has yet to see how Jon Favreau filters his voice to get those booming Hutt tones. He did modulate his own performance in the booth and revisiting Jabba's scenes to get in that zone. There you go. He did his research. My speaking voice changes as Rotta, he added. It was helpful, of course, to listen to Jabba the Hutt, so he's basing it off of his in-world father's performance. Jeremy Allen White, forever going to be known as the son of Jabba the Hutt. Just how much of Jabba is in Rotta remains to be seen. Favreau likens the character to Adonis Donnie Creed in the Creed movies, played by Michael B. Jordan. A little bit of a strange comparison there. A character living in his father's shadow. Well, I guess that's, that's a valid comparison. And when you actually make that comparison to the fact that, his father, Creed's father, was played by Carl Weathers, who, again, sadly passed away, but also plays Grief Karga in Star Wars and will likely either be mentioned or maybe have an appearance in this movie, most likely killed off screen. But either way, that comparison is pretty great because Carl Weathers is in Star Wars and also in Rocky or the Creed movies, which is cool. He goes on to say, when you're trying to establish yourself and your name is already famous, when you're Jabba the Hutt's kid, what does that do? The director queries. How does that affect your trajectory? I get a kick out of that. So get ready to meet a Hutt like no other. So it's like what do they call them? Like a famous person's child. How do you get out of the limelight of your father's name? Because your father was extremely famous, like Jabba. It does still make me think that he's going to want to go down a very different path than his father, not be a, villain or a crime boss or a bad guy, and it would, just like in the Creed movies, Adonis or Donnie is the good guy in those movies. I could see Stinky the Hutt becoming a hero in this film and actually helping Din and Grogu maybe even fight back against his own people, the Hutts, the Twin Hutts specifically. So, this was the Empire magazine that this all came from. This is the cover of it. Read the full story. Again, the entire issue comes out on this coming Thursday, March 12th. So we'll have more information on that when it comes out. But all that to say, I got a feeling, just based off of the interview here, based off of the amount of effort and importance that has been placed upon Stinky the Hutt in the marketing for this movie, in the fact that Jeremy Allen White is voicing this character, in the fact that they're basing it off of, an older Carl Weathers character's son, and Carl Weathers is in Star Wars. It all lines up to me that we are being tricked a little bit here into thinking that he's not going to be a main character, into thinking that he's just going to be a gladiator fight for Din Djarin, when I truly believe that the truth behind all of it is that Stinky the Hutt, this giant, ripped slug, is going to be a very, very, very important character in this movie. Now, again, as the poll says in the chat, will he be a good guy or a bad guy? Holy crap, 80% of you guys think he's going to be a good guy? Have you met his father? No, I agree with you. I think he's going to be a good guy to sort of, rebel against his father. But how the two of them team up will be very interesting. How their gladiator fight goes. Well, let me ask you guys in the chat. Who do you think wins this fight? Din Djarin versus Stinky the Hutt. Who wins that fight? Because in one of the trailers, we did see Din Djarin fighting the Djarin pieces, the hollow chess pieces from the hollow chess board on the Millennium Falcon. All of those will be brought to life, and Din Djarin will be fighting those pieces in the gladiator ring, which I think he will win that fight. But who wins in the fight? Din Djarin or this giant gladiator of a slug, Rotta? What do we think? Who wins this fight in the gladiator ring? You guys are all saying Din Djarin. It's a tie. I could see it being a tie, but there has to be who was on top type deal, Somebody was winning the fight, and then they maybe stopped the fight. Yeah. Pull it up. All right, fine. We'll pull it up. We'll pull it up because almost 80% of you guys are saying you think he's going to be a good guy, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So let's pull this up. Who wins in the fight? In the gladiator fight. Oh, that's not how you spell gladiator. Oh, there we go. Who wins in this fight? Din Djarin, which, by the way, is Grogu just going to be sitting in the stands watching his dad get, beat up by a Hutt? Is that how this scene's going to go? Din Djarin or Rotta the Hutt? Who wins in the gladiator fight? I got a feeling there's going to be a winner. And as Holly just said, maybe Din Djarin wins and Rotta now respects him for it. He gains his respect by beating him in the fight. Or maybe he goes to Rotta outside the gladiator ring and says, I need your help, or I'm looking for some huts, whatever it may be. And Rotta says, I'll only help you if you beat me. I could see that happening. And that would make the stakes a lot higher, I feel like. Yeah. It'd be very similar to Mando Season 2, where Bo-Katan is like, I'll tell you where Ahsoka Tano is if you help me with this mission first. That's sort of the gist I get from it. It's just really funny to me, because I'm seeing this all over the interwebs, where the last time we saw Stinky the Hutt, he was a baby. He was in the Clone Wars many, many moons ago. Where is this? Oh, there it is. He looked like this. So we're seeing a character for the first time in 18 years. And the last time we saw him, Ahsoka Tano, at like the age of whatever she was, 15, is holding him in her hands because he's tiny and he looks like that. By the way, the eyes look pretty spot on. I wonder how much of Stinky is going to be CGI versus practical effects. You know? I wonder. Wow, you guys are going Din Djarin hard in the chat. I'm seeing a ton of Din Djarins in the chat for this win on the gladiator fight, and the poll is saying Din Djarin as well. I'll leave it up there for a little bit, but there's your Stinky the Hutt news. Now let's talk about Pedro Pascal. Let's talk about Din Djarin and his helmet coming off and why it's so significant. Okay? Let's start here. The Mandalorian and Grogu. Pedro Pascal and Jon Favreau agreed on the only reason why Din Djarin would remove his helmet. Now, to me, there's only two reasons. One, it's physically taken off of him like we see in the trailer where somebody else removes his helmet. Or two, he's dying. He's dying and he's going to take it off for one last moment with Grogu or one last moment with whomever where he is going to die. The only time we ever seen him take off his helmet in the whole history of the character is when in season 1 he is dying and IG-11 is the only one who can save him. And then in season 2 when he is saying goodbye to Grogu. So he's either dying and saying goodbye to Grogu or somebody else removes it for him. Now I'm going to say multiple times here. Okay, so hang on. Let me lay the groundwork a little bit. I may say in this live stream that Din Djarin is going to die. Okay, so you're gonna have to just bear with me. I know you love Din Djarin. I know you don't want to see your favorite characters die, but they all do. Your Han Solos, your Luke Skywalkers, your Leia Organas, your Kanan Jarruses, your Darth Mauls, your Vaders, your Palpatines, if you really like bad guys. Your Qui-Gon Jinns, your Mace Windus, your Yodas, your Obi-Wan Kenobis, they all die. And Din Djarin's just the next in line. So don't take it too personally when I say Din Djarin's going to die. It's just the facts. Okay, continuing. The latest trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu revealed that, just as we suspected, we will be seeing Pedro Pascal's face in this movie. Now, a big reason for this is the fact that it's Pedro Pascal's face. Pedro Pascal is, an A-list actor, one of the hottest, and I don't mean physically, but, whatever, the hottest actors in Hollywood right now. So the fact that you would have him as the title role and then not see his face wouldn't really make much sense at all, especially if you want to sell tickets. So the fact that he shows his face in the trailer was kind of a surprise to me. But when you think about it from a marketing perspective, you have Pedro Pascal as the voice of the character. You're going to want to show his face especially in the marketing for the movie, if you want to sell some tickets. So that's a no-brainer. Mike is going full dark side there. What do you mean? I didn't kill off these characters. I'm not the one killing off your favorite characters. Here, I'll give you a little bit of a good news, bad news here. The good news is, when I kill off characters, I'd say like 70% of the time, they live. Cast your mind back to the Bad Batch. Going into season 3, I was saying that Vader's going to line up all the Bad Batch and chop their heads off individually. A little graphic, Mike, I know. But that's just the truth of the matter. I thought it was going to be like the Clone Wars, where Darth Maul lines up those innocent civilians and chops their heads off. Yes, I thought that they were all going to die. And here's the thing. You guys did too. I fully brought you on board the fact that the Clone Force 99 was all going to die by the end of season 3 because it made sense. However, the geniuses over at Lucasfilm found a way to keep them all alive, except for Tech. But R.I.P. Tech. To keep them all alive, but Crosshair just lost a limb and they grow old together. So I have been wrong in the past. I never claimed to be right all the time. But if you're holding out hope that Din Djarin may survive the events of this movie, just know that I've been wrong before. But I'm definitely not wrong about this one. Din Djarin's a goner. Okay. This is one of the biggest questions. This was one of the biggest questions when the feature movie was announced. Given how busy Pedro Pascal's filming schedule was in 2024, in a new interview with Empire Magazine, both Jon Favreau and Pedro Pascal talked about this. So there was so many reports coming out last year. Maybe was it last year? Yeah, 2025, and in 2024, I guess too. That Pedro Pascal was not on the set of The Mandalorian at all. He was too busy with Fantastic Four. He was too busy with whatever else he was doing. Last of Us Season 2, whatever it was. He was not there on the set. So fast forward to today, about a year and a half later, all those people look like absolute idiots because he's in the trailer and they're talking about him showing his face numerous times in this movie and how important of a role Pedro plays as this character. They didn't just, deep fake Pedro Pascal's face onto a different face. He was on the set for quite a long time. But that's why when we talk about leaks and scoops, it's always to take it with a giant grain of salt. Okay. Jon Favreau first talks about the challenge going into the movie. You want to see Pedro Pascal's face on the big screen, yet that breaks the typical image of the character and even the story that we've been telling so far, as he says. It's a tricky thing because you want to see his face, but the archetype is that of the helmet. So how do we find a way to do without undermining everything that we developed in the Mandalorian Creed? Well, Season 3, the biggest argument is that Season 3 was all about him going to Mandalore to bathe in the waters because he took his helmet off, and he's not supposed to do that. So you would assume that he never takes his helmet off again. That's kind of not under his control when the Hutts take his helmet off for him. Yeah. Because it is a very big part of Din Djarin's character to not take his helmet off. So if we're getting more of him taking his helmet off, something either has to change or there needs to be a very good reason for it. It was also clarified in the interview that Pedro Pascal spent a lot of time on set. Whoa, shocker. The main character of the movie was on set? Contrary to what people would try to make you believe? Crazy. As Jon Favreau said that he's in the suit even when the helmet is on. Now, probably not for the majority of things. There are two incredible stunt actors who do play Din Djarin as well. Brandon Wayne and Lateef Crowder. Got it. Boom. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. I could feel it. Okay. So Lateef and Brendan have brought this character to life through their stunt performing and just body acting, while Pedro Pascal is the voice and the face when the helmet does come off. But although why do I not just read the rest of the article? God! Well, stunt performers Lateef Crowder and Brendan Wayne, one of these days, I'm just going to keep reading and not make myself look like an idiot. But that day is not today. That day is not today. Okay. But Lateef Crowder and Brendan Wayne were also a big part of the shoot. Empire even said that much of the film has Pedro Pascal under the Beskar. That's actually kind of surprising to me. Obviously, he was on the set. He does the voice. He's showing his face. But the fact that much of the film has him under the helmet is more surprising than I thought. That wasn't the case for season 3. It just wasn't. Now, maybe that was a scheduling thing with all the other things that he was doing at the time, but he wasn't. He was barely on set. He was on set, but just barely for that 3rd season. But season 1, he was under the mask a lot. Season 2, he was under the mask a lot. Season 3 was when he sort of took a step back, and we didn't see Pedro's face at all in season 3 anyway. But although it's unclear if they are interpreting the following comment from Favreau or if they're told so explicitly. So here's what Jon Favreau had to say. You'll see Pedro Pascal in the armor both with and without the helmet. So he is pretty physical performer. So we pushed a little further than we have in the past as far as what we are doing with his helmet off. Interesting. Pushed it further than we have in the past with his helmet off. Meaning, when his helmet's taken off in this scene here by the Hutts, it's not just going to be the case that they give him back his helmet. I mean, in the trailer, let's pull up that trailer because we've mentioned it so many times today. In the trailer, you see him going toe-to-toe with this giant, slithery, snake-looking thing. Hang on, let's see. Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. Here we go. Yeah, this one. Should we just watch it? Let's watch it, Get our daily dose of Mando and Grogu.
Hey, never touch the buttons. I can use some information.
Whoa, for this price, I'll tell you whatever you want.
I'm looking for a hut.
Close for the night. Thank you.
Gangsters, war criminals.
Long live the Empire.
We'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
This isn't about revenge. It's about preventing another war.
Strap in.
You will suffer. And then it will be his turn.
Before going into harm's way, check your armor. The kid will live centuries beyond me. I won't always be around to protect him.
Are you scared? You should be.
You should be.
Do we run? Or do we fight?
I like this kid.
What are you waiting for? Let's save the rest for after dinner.
Sorry, I got distracted by the greatness. It is funny when you watch this trailer over and over and over and over again. I mean, I've watched this thing 1,000 times, but you just notice different things every time. And the thing I noticed this time is that we have no idea what the hell we should be expecting in this movie. That's what I noticed. I noticed there is a 0% chance that anybody can predict the outcome of this film, because there's just so much weird stuff with Zeb being involved. As much as I love Zeb, the character is doing this badass hallway scene that just doesn't even make sense. But because he's not really involved in the rest of the storytelling. And then you have stuff like this old dude in the rocking chair. Like, what the hell's going on here? We don't know anything. But what we do know is that Pedro Pascal's face is being shown and Din Djarin's helmet is being taken off by the Hutts. And it's not just in one scene, because here he is looking all mad and grumpy. But here he is, what looks to be scenes later, right here, going up against this giant, slithery, snake-looking thing. The dragon snake. That's what it's called.
Do we run?
So, at least for a couple scenes in a row, he's going to have his mask off, which is not something that has ever happened before. In the first season, he takes his mask off briefly so that IG-11 can save his life. In the second season, he takes it off to say goodbye to Grogu, and very quickly takes it off for that scene with Bill Burr in the penultimate episode, I believe. And in season 3, we don't see his helmet at all. So we really haven't seen much of his face at all. So you're going to get a lot more in this trailer just in this movie, just based off of the trailer. We've already seen his face a lot more than we have in many, many moons. Many moons. But yeah, that trailer never gets old. Never gets old. Okay, continuing. The story reason, however, is still not fully explained. There's his face again. In the trailer, we see how his helmet is removed when he has an audience with the twin Hutts from the Book of Boba Fett. But is that the only reason why he removes his helmet during the movie? Or is there something else? We'll get to that in a second. Pedro Pascal wouldn't say, but he did mention that he and Favreau agreed on the only reason why this should happen, as he goes on to say this. When we got to that part, all I can say is that it made perfect sense. And it was what I was hoping would be the reason. The actor enthused. If I were to pitch something, I would say the only reason that would make sense is ... and that's exactly it. He filled in the blank, and I said immediately, John, that's exactly what I was hoping to hear. So the two of them were very much on the same page, and this is the only reason that he should take his helmet off. Now, what is that reason? Chat, what do you think that reason might just be? What do you think it might just be? Now, they've already done the he's going to die thing in season 1. Now, maybe it's a callback to that. Maybe he is going to die, or he's having a near-death scene. And they've already done the goodbye to the baby scene, because he's already said goodbye to Grogu when he gives him to Luke Skywalker. So what is the reason he's talking about here? The only thing that would make sense is ... Fill in the blank, chat. Fill in the blank. What do we think? What do we think? He falls in love with a woman? Well, I mean, I am fully on board the Din Djarin and Bo-Katan, relationship, but I don't see that playing out in this movie. I mean, maybe, but that would be so opposite of what the trailer is showing us. If Bo-Katan is in this movie, and she's in this movie enough for them to take off their helmets and start making out, which would be weird, but it wouldn't really... It would be so the opposite of what we've gotten in the trailer. Like that, none of what we just watched in that trailer has anything to do with Bo-Katan, anything to do with the romance between the two of them. So I don't think so. No, he will marry the Fisher chick. The Fisher chick, what? Oh, the girl from season 1. Oh, from the Sanctuary one? Ah. Probably not. Din Djarin gets around to these ladies. The girl from the Sanctuary episode, Cara Dune, Bo-Katan. Yeah. Bo-Katan dying would be absolute cinema. Well, I agree because she's been a character that's been around for so long. So many people have emotional connections to her. I don't think it would happen very soon. You know? A Bo-Katan death would happen if there is a Mando trilogy later on in said trilogy. Dying for her people and saving the Mandalorian race. Probably versus Grand Admiral Thrawn. Yeah. Bo-Katan fighting the Mythosaur as a side story would be amazing. I don't know if she would fight the Mythosaur. I honestly think Bo-Katan should ride the Mythosaur. I know people want it to be a Force user. They want it to be Grogu or Sabine. I think Bo-Katan should be the one to do it. Din Djarin, no. Bo has been the one who's been should be the leader. Has been fighting for her people and for the Mandalorians and Mandalore itself for decades. Like, she's the one who deserves it the most. Grogu was just a Jedi who happened upon a Mandalorian. He's not real. Well, he's Mandalorian now, but he's not. He doesn't have the same history that Bo-Katan does with the people. Din Djarin was a foundling, and he's a bounty hunter. Like, he doesn't have that connection either. Sabine, I guess, would be another good option, but she's in a different galaxy. So Bo-Katan seems to be the most likely one to do that. But that's just my take. So fill in the blank. The only thing that would make sense for Din Djarin to take off his helmet would be ... Fill in that blank, because Jon Favreau and Pedro Pascal filled in the blank, and they both said the exact same thing. Now, the immediate thing that pops into my mind, because you know I like to kill off characters, is his death. And the reason for that is because as much as I love the character of Din Djarin, I feel like the backlash from season 3, a lot of that comes from the fact that nothing really, I don't know how to phrase this. Nothing really groundbreaking happened. And I'm not going to say nobody died because Moff Gideon died, but it's not the case that somebody needs to die for it to be groundbreaking. Franchise changing, I suppose. Think about season 1 was franchise changing. Introducing a baby version of a Yoda species, that's franchise changing. Giving us Luke Skywalker de-aged to save the day, Ahsoka Tano in live action, Boba Fett back from the dead, that's franchise changing. Season 3 didn't do any of that. Now, granted, it was more so an end cap on the whole Mandalorian wars, reclaiming their home world, the Mandalorian people coming together finally after thousands of years of civil war. That was a great end cap, but it wasn't, quote unquote, franchise changing. Now, I'm not, again, saying that a death has to happen for it to be franchise changing, because the first 2 seasons didn't have that. But think about what would blow your mind. It's Han Solo dying in The Force Awakens. Nobody saw that coming because, first and foremost, nobody wants Han Solo to die. If I was sitting here in 2015, 2014, saying that in The Force Awakens, Han Solo's going to die, you would all look at me the same way that you look at me when I say that Din Djarin's going to die. Mike, you're an idiot. That'll never happen. And yet, fast forward to the release of The Force Awakens, he dies. And you could say the exact same thing about Qui-Gon Jinn in The Phantom Menace, or Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope. The list goes on. But in order for this movie to have the wow factor, the shock factor, the only reason that I can think of that would make sense for Din Djarin to take off his helmet that Jon Favreau and Pedro Pascal are both talking about would be a sacrifice play to protect the child. That's just how it be. That's just how it goes, Chet. But let's continue. So that's what Pedro Pascal had to say. We'll be seeing a lot of Pedro Pascal's face anyway as we get closer and closer to the release date of this movie. He, alongside of Grogu, will be a major marketing point for Disney and Lucasfilm. Now that the marketing is starting to ramp up, The Mandalorian and Grogu is set to release on May 22nd of this year. Marketing is going to go through the roof, probably over the next 2.5 months, I suppose. And this is just the start of it. This whole Empire magazine thing, we've gotten interview or snippets of interviews from Pedro Pascal, Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Jeremy Allen White, like we just got right here. And this is just, like, we just went over a shit ton of things, and we did even more on Thursday's live stream. This is just the preview. This is just the preview. We haven't even gotten to the interview of Sigourney Weaver or the other, I believe there's more. And this isn't even the full interview of these people. So imagine come Thursday when we have all the information, how much more we're going to learn, how much more images we're going to get for this movie. Because we've already got a shit ton. Oh, by the way, there's more. Let me pull this up. There was some that I forgot to show on Thursday. Let me pull them up here. Well, that one we'll get to in a second. Hang on. Wait a second. Okay. So we looked at a bunch of these. Wait, what the hell? Where is it? We looked at a bunch of these on Thursday that came out with the Empire magazine thing. But where was this? Ah, there it is. Found it. So this one came out a few days before the Empire magazine was released, and it's an exclusive from Screen Rant. As you can see, Din Djarin walking in the door of this Imperial base on the snowy planet, which we still don't know what that snowy planet is. And he's using his flamethrower to take out these snow troopers. I mean, talk about badass. Talk about badass. But so we got this taking out the snow troopers. We see it in the trailer, but that's a pretty clean look at it right there. Din and Grogu split up in this scene, not together right now, but you see that as well. So that was another one. And then the ones we got on Thursday were this, them behind the scenes, Grogu with the little thing there that, goes action, whatever that's called. You got Din without Grogu on the walker on the snowy planet. What do we think the snowy planet is, Chet? Is it going to be Ilum? Here's the thing. All bets are off. If this movie has Starkiller Base, a.k.a. Ilum, in it, if that's the Imperial base that we're looking at right here, all bets are off if Ilum is involved in this movie, and all bets are off if Din Djarin dies. Everything is out the window. If Bo-Katan's in it, all bets are off. Like, there is so much that we don't know about this movie that could change the way we look at all of this. Because the marketing might just be making us look one way when they're trying to keep all these other secrets behind the scenes. But we had that image as well, and this one I want to take a look at. This is an image from the leaked trailer that we got last year at Star Wars Celebration. Now, the reason we're looking at this now is because since then we've received 2 trailers and 3 other leaked ones. One with Zootopia 2, one with Avatar, and one with Hopper, which we just watched on Tuesday with a couple new scenes. Of all of those 5 trailers, 3 leaked and 2 official, we have not seen this since last year, since Star Wars Celebration. And it looks like Din Djarin, as you can tell right there, Grogu, as you can see right there, in some sort of abandoned facility or destroyed facility. I say abandoned because it looks overgrown here, but destroyed, I mean, look, it looks destroyed. So, I mean, it could be both. It could be an abandoned, destroyed facility. But the importance of this And the fact that they had it in the first teaser trailer shown at Star Wars Celebration and hasn't been in anything since makes me think that this is extremely, extremely important. Now, could we be looking at Navarro and it was destroyed, and maybe this is the town and it was destroyed by the Empire or by the Hutts or by whatever? Possibly this could be the Din Djarin finding Grief Karga dead scene, or it could be this is after Embo came in and destroyed everything scene, or this is an Imperial facility, an old Imperial facility that Din and Grogu are going to investigate. We don't know what this is, but it's clearly significant and extremely important. You just sent the trailer to the Discord? Okay, let me check that out. If you have not yet already, go join the Discord. There's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. Let me see. Where'd you send it at? Under videos, maybe? I am not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Okay. Well, send it again. Okay. So there's something about this that is very, very, very important. And it could be that this is... Oh, last week you sent it? I'm not going to be able to find it from last week. Send it again. But there's something very significant about this scene because they teased it in the first trailer and haven't shown it ever since. And it again points to the idea that we don't know much of anything about this movie. But, yeah. However, that was another image. So we got a ton of images, and then you add on today's image of Stinky the Hutt. Next week, when we get this full Empire article, it is going to have even more images and a ton more of these interviews from the cast and crew, which is enormous. Oh, and then, yeah, well, we talked about this a little bit on Thursday, but Dave Filoni in the Empire magazine saying that this, quote unquote, when episode 7 is a completely different entity. I had dreams of what episode 7 would be since episode 6 came out, where's 7? But we are in a completely different era in Star Wars now. And as he said, this is a big celebration of these two main characters. Now, the way he phrased this is interesting. A big celebration of characters. You know, it was a celebration of the original trilogy characters, the sequel trilogy, and they all died in it. You know, it might just be a big celebration of the character of Din and Grogu, who already have 24 episodes on Disney Plus, who already have more screen time in live action than almost probably 97% of characters in Star Wars. You know, it'd be a big celebration of the character if he dies. Meaning nobody's going to die. I completely look at this the opposite. The big celebration of the character is this big, going out party, going away party as he dies. We do have some Starfighter news to talk about too, so somebody remind me to not forget about that. Okay. But that's what Dave Filoni had to say as well. So when it comes to the Mandalorian and Grogu, we're going to be talking about it with new news from here on out until May 22nd. But right now, based off of all we just looked at with Jon Favreau and Pedro Pascal and Dave Filoni, even the trailer itself, and maybe it's to subvert our expectations, but with his helmet coming off, the fact that they are talking about one specific reason why his helmet should come off, it's the significance of his character making a sacrifice play to protect the child. Can I get some good cups, follow orders in the chat, please? Bum, ba. You know what I got for you, chat? I got some great news for you. We got a special guest coming on today. We got a very special guest coming on today for the end of this live stream. Not right now, but later on. So get excited. Get excited. All right, you sent it to the Discord? Let's see. Oh, this was the one from Hoppers. Oh, okay. I thought you meant this was the one from Celebration. Never mind. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's switch gears a little bit here. Let's talk about what we haven't talked about in a really, really long time. And that is Dawn of the Jedi. And the sad news may be that the reason we haven't seen it in such a long time is because it might be canceled. Now, I want to start this with a poll in the chat, so let's start there. Here's the thing. Dawn of the Jedi, when it was announced 3 years ago, that's insane. But when it was announced 3 years ago, it was one of the most exciting things that I've felt as a Star Wars fan in recent memory. A movie about the origins of the Jedi, about the origins of the first ever lightsaber being created, the first ever Jedi temple being constructed, going back to Tython and getting the origin story 25,000 years before anything else. That sounds awesome. And yet, it might not happen. Do you think Dawn of the Jedi is still happening? Yes or no? Yes or no? Now, I'm going to give you my, as per usual, more optimistic view on all of this, because I think there is still a pretty big likelihood that it does still happen. That James Mangold still will make his Star Wars movie, and just as Kathleen Kennedy gave us an update on it a few months ago, it's just put on the shelf. It's just put on hold, just like Boba Fett has been put on the shelf, like we talked about on Thursday's live stream as well. So, yes, we will see it, but not until 2040 at least. I certainly hope not. 2040 is 15 or 14 years away. So no thank you. By the way, that last poll, who would win in the gladiator fight, Din Djarin or Rotta the Hutt? 71% of you say Din Djarin. I don't know. I feel like they might want to establish that Rotta is a big threat, or at least a strong presence, and they'll just make him win the fight. But I mean, either way, it's going to be an epic battle, and it's really just.
This is where the fun begins.
Okay, but let's talk about this. This article is coming from Bespin Bulletin, but they go into the sources and everything as well, so take a look at this. James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie might have been canceled, which would be a bummer. The upcoming Dawn of the Jedi movie directed by James Mangold might be no longer. That's coming from two different people who have shared Star Wars leaks in the past. The film set 25,000 years before the Skywalker saga, which would have explored the first ever Jedi, was announced at Star Wars Celebration 3 years ago. That's insane. I know this channel has been around for a while, but I feel like it was yesterday when we were watching those panels, or at least reporting what the panels were, from Star Wars Celebration 2023, when those three movies were announced. The Dave Filoni movie, the Rey movie, and the Dawn of the Jedi movie. It was enormous. It was so huge for Star Wars fans, and it was 3 years ago. And all three movies haven't even been filmed yet, which is insane. But I digress. It was one of three films announced during the Lucasfilm showcase. None of these films have materialized or even got into proper production as of yet. Dawn of the Jedi has been co-written by James Mangold and Mr. Willie Mon, who is, he wrote on House of Cards and Severance, but more importantly, as I always say, Star Wars experience is the best experience. He wrote some of the best arcs of Andor. Off the top of my head, the only one I can remember is the One Way Out arc. The prison, the Kino Loy, all that greatness. That was Mr. Willimon. The latter was most recently behind the masterful Narkina 5 arc in Gorman Arcs and Andor. One of these days. One of these days, I'm just going to read the whole article, not stop to give my 2 cents.
Execute Order 66.
Okay, he was the writer behind the Narkina 5 arc, you know, the One Way Out arc with Kino Loy, and the Gorman arcs of Andor. So pretty much the best arcs in Andor, he's the guy who wrote them. So as much credit as we give to Tony Gilroy, and deservingly so, Mr. Willimon is behind some of the best arcs in the entire series. Whilst there are always rumors for Star Wars films cancellations made up by bad actors, there is some sound reasoning behind these latest rumors. So paused or dead. The most recent official update that we got on this movie came from Kathleen Kennedy, who recently left her post as president, replaced by Dave Filoni and Lin-Wyn Brennan. In her exit interview with Deadline back in January, she confirmed that James Mangold and Mr. Willimon's they did complete their film's script, and she called it incredible and breaking the mold, but it was on hold. And I did not mean to rhyme there. I was just reading the words on the screen. So it's on hold. That was the update that we got most recently, officially from Lucasfilm, officially from Kathleen Kennedy. But earlier this week, news broke from HBO that Mr. Willimon would be writing a Game of Thrones film. They're making a Game of Thrones film now. And Mr. Willimon will be a writer on it. With this update, a fan asked renowned insider Jeffrey Snyder if the first Jedi film was over, if Dawn of the Jedi was canceled, in Thursday night's episode of the Hot Mic podcast. Snyder shared that he has heard that the Mangold-led, what he has heard on the Mangold-led flick. And this was his full quote transcribed below. Oh God. See, that's not always that's never a good thing to hear. You know, that's not how you should start something when you want to hear good news. Like that. No, thank you. No, thank you. Oh God. I haven't asked yet. So he hasn't asked about the current state of the movie. I haven't asked my source, but I've heard that this is true. I've heard this week, actually. I just heard it. That's likely, or that's like dead. The movie is dead. But I haven't asked, so I can't say that conclusively, but it does not sound good. I think Mangold is focused on the Timothée Chalamet heist movie, and I think Swamp Thing could be after that. So right now, Mangold is a busy guy doing a Timothée Chalamet heist movie. I didn't even know that was a thing. But Swamp Thing I did know about, and that's a DC movie. So he's doing 2 movies back to back here. So it doesn't necessarily mean that Dawn of the Jedi is gone. It, as Kathleen Kennedy says, is on hold. When you have both writers, both co-writers of the movie, doing a Game of Thrones movie and a Timothée Chalamet movie, followed by a Swamp Thing movie for DC, then it's kind of hard to direct and write a movie when both your writers and director are doing other things. You know? So, all that to say, I don't think that this movie is canceled. I don't think that this is bye-bye forever on Dawn of the Jedi. I just think you're going to have to wait a while. And here's the good news about all this. Well, they go into all that other stuff here. Well, actually, let's read all this first, and then I'll get into the good news. As you just read, it's not confirmation that the film is done for. It's just something that somebody told Jeff and not his source, which has been reliable when it comes to Star Wars reporting. Jeff reports things that he believes are to be true in his newsletter. The podcast is not where he shares his reporting and his rumors, then leaks. Oh, he reporting and rumors then leaks. However, earlier in the day, Twitter account that has a couple of small Star Wars scoops in the past echoed Jeff Fives Walker, who we've talked about before on this channel and has been correct before, said, I am hearing that James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie is dead. It's not just dead, it's dead twice. The other info, no other info, than that right now. It's just interesting timing that the same information is coming from two different sources who tend to be correct. So you have the idea that these two, or not idea, but you have the fact that these two scoopers are suggesting that this movie is dead, as he says that, and then Snyder hasn't confirmed any of this, but he thinks it's dead from what he's hearing. And then you have Kathleen Kennedy saying that it's on hold, that the script is completed, but it's on hold. Now, the good news for Star Wars fans, the people who are holding out hope for this movie, the good news is it doesn't have to be made, and it won't be made in the near future. Think about it this way. This year in 2026, we're getting Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So if we're even getting a Star Wars movie every single year for the foreseeable future, Dawn of the Jedi doesn't have to come out until 2029, the earliest. If The Mandalorian and Grogu is the beginning of a trilogy, then you assume that there will be a year between movies. So 2026, 28, and 30 would be the trilogy. But let's say there's no trilogy, just for fun. Mandalorian and Grogu is 2026. Starfighter is 2027. 2028 is likely the Rey movie. Very likely the Rey movie. And then 2029 would be the earliest that we would get Dawn of the Jedi. So if Timothée Chalamet's movie films this year, and then next year he films the Swamp Thing movie, then the following year he can film Dawn of the Jedi, and it can come out in 2029 or 2030. And the math would still math. So in order for, I guess, in the best possible scenario for Star Wars fans, this movie is indeed put on hold because there is other things that they want to get to before they get to Dawn of the Jedi. And the best part of all of it is that there is zero rush with that movie. Zero. It's not like there's other projects dependent on that film because it's 25,000 years before everything. So a Mando movie's not affected by that. A post-sequel movie's not affected by that. So in order for this movie to happen, they can take all the time in the world. Now, let me actually double check this. When does Swamp Thing come out? Do they have a release date for Swamp Thing? Oh, that's the old Swamp Thing. When does James Mangold? Okay, so James Mangold's Swamp Thing does not have an official release date, but it says likely 2027. So if he's doing the Timothée Chalamet heist movie, does that have a release date? Let's see. Oh, no, not the biopic. Hang on. Heist movie. It says production starting as early as 2026, making it a 2027 release or likely a little bit later. So if the Timothée Chalamet movie comes out next year, the Swamp Thing movie comes out the following year, then Dawn of the Jedi will not be far behind that. So for people holding out hope, for people hoping that it still exists, for people saying that yes, it's still going to happen, which I certainly think it is, they've already finished a script. Mr. Willie Mon is a big old Star Wars nerd along with James Mangold. you're going to have this movie happen eventually. It's just, as the Jedi would say, patience. And it's not like we're not going to have Star Wars movies. It's not like we're not going to have Star Wars shows and anything else before this movie comes out. There's going to be plenty of Star Wars content. It's just you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to wait for this movie because it's on hold. And it's not because it's on hold because it's a bad idea. The script is great. It's on hold because these two guys are extremely busy right now, and this movie is in zero rush. They need to do what they're doing with the post-sequel world, with the Starfighter, and with the Mandalorian before they go back all the way in time to Dawn of the Jedi. Yeah. At least we have Fate of the Old Republic to look forward to. Well, the thing with that, though, and we're about to talk about Knights of the Old Republic as well, because there is an update on that game as well. It almost looks like Dawn of the Jedi, Fate of the Old Republic, the Knights of the Old Republic remake are all going to come out around the same time period. And that time period is probably 2029 or 2028 to 2031-ish, those 3 years. In that 3-year time period, we might be getting a ton of Old Republic era stuff. And I put it in quotations because Dawn of the Jedi, I guess, is technically the very beginning of it. But yeah, I missed a super chat. I did miss a super chat. You are absolutely right. Hang on, let me see. Darth Plagueis lives with the very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit. Super chats, memberships keep the lights on over here, so I appreciate that. Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $5 holla. Says, if Dawn of the Jedi is canceled, I riot. Okay. Also, Ahsoka leaks. We'll get to Ahsoka leaks in 1 second. Yes. But it does seem like Dawn of the Jedi, the KOTOR remake, and Fate of the Jedi, which was announced just a couple months ago, are set to release around the same couple-year time period. So it might be a shift of we're getting Mandoverse stuff now. We've been getting Mandoverse stuff for the last 6 years. We're going to fill in that time period in between the originals and the sequels for the next 5-ish years, 5 to 10 years. And then in that transition period of 2029/2028 to 2031 to 2032, that 4 or 5 year transition period, that's going to be going into the Old Republic. You're going to be getting Old Republic video games, Old Republic movies, Old Republic animated shows, hopefully, like all Old Republic all the time. That's the dream. And with 3 Old Republic projects announced that all come out seemingly around the same time, it does seem like the focus will be shifted to that era in the timeline. So what seems like bad news on the surface, Dawn of the Jedi is canceled, it might just be the best possible scenario. Because if they're going to the Old Republic, they need to do it right, and they need to have a plan. And if the plan's not ready, then take your goddamn time. Take all the time you need. Take all the time you need. Yeah, 2069. The funny part about that, because I know it's a joke and 69, haha, funny. 2069 is what? 43 years from now? In 43 years from now, that will be a real year. And you know, all the children in us will be let free in that year. But, okay. But I appreciate the super chat. I really, really do. And now that you brought it up with the very generous super chat, let's talk about those Ahsoka leaks, shall we? Because there's not much to them, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. So, we are back to Morai the Messenger. According to a crew member who worked on Ahsoka Season 2. And as we read this, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Ahsoka Season 2? Just on a scale of 1 to 10. Because for me, the scale's broken, you know? I'm well over a 10. It's not even close. Like, this is to me, I love me some Mando. I love me some Maul. Maul's my 3rd favorite character of all time. But Ahsoka is just the cliffhangers of Season 1. It's really Rebels Season 6. Thrawn. It's going to be so good. Okay, but tell them in the chat. Scale of 1 to 10. So, a crew member who worked on Ahsoka Season 2, rocket launcher troopers, may make a return in the Battle of Dathomir. So, this Battle of Dathomir thing is legit. It's going to be this huge battle, a war in our Star Wars on Dathomir. The headquarters, from what we know of, where Thrawn is at the end of Season 1. Because Ezra's going to come back to the New Republic and go, Thrawn is on Dathomir, and they'll have to go attack him immediately because, he's got an army of Night Sisters waiting for them. Okay. This person was part of the stunt team in this season and describes one of the troopers they played after followers noticed that something in a video. It's a 3D printed replica of the blaster I used at the Battle of Dathomir. They make me a bazooka trooper that day, or they made me a bazooka trooper that day. So I retired my old blaster and had it preserved. That's insanely cool. Lucasfilm, if you ever need a bazooka holder, I'm your guy. I'm right here. I'll be the guy. I'll just hand the bazooka to a stormtrooper. I don't even have to be the stormtrooper. I'll just hand the bazooka off the ground and go, here, sir, take this bazooka. I'll do anything. Not to sound desperate or anything. I mean, I'll take a Jedi role too. If you a bounty hunter, I mean, I'll be a Sith Lord if you want. Okay, but this is unbelievably cool. A crew member who was on the stunt team who, for a day or whatever, was a bazooka trooper and got that bazooka 3D replicated, printed, to have at home, which is just insanely cool. This is the same crew member and content creator who showed off the jacket that featured Enoch's weapon, which we talked about on Tuesday's live stream, and also made the comment about Ewan. So this guy is going to be shut down very quickly as soon as Lucasfilm gets a hold of him. He's screwed. But he's the one who said that Ewan let him hold Ahsoka's saber, apparently. Are you excited for this battle? Whatever. So this is the bazooka trooper we're talking about here. This is insanely cool. We've seen this character before, I believe, in the Jedi games. Have we seen them anywhere else? Maybe on the Battle of Scarif? Hang on, let's look it up. Bazooka Trooper Star Wars. Let's see. Or Rocket Trooper, I suppose. Oh, yeah, we saw him in Andor. You're right. Okay. Saw him in Andor as well. Let's see. Appearances. This can't be all the appearances. It says Battlefront 2, of course. Fallen Order and Survivor. Yep. Star Wars Rebels. Star Wars Rebels was their first appearance. But they're in Andor. I guess this is technically a different design. But, I mean, this is cool. This is really cool. The stuff like this, like very little bits of information, is so cool when it comes to Ahsoka Season 2, because this battle on Dathomir is going to be enormous. Like, it's just going to be this massive space battle with the Chimera versus the Ghost and all that other stuff, while also being a ground battle with bazooka troopers versus versus Ezra with a lightsaber versus hopefully Zeb Orrelios. As the previous leaks we were talking about had the U-Wing flying in, the same U-Wing from Mando and Grogu, and hopefully flying in with Zeb Orrelios. Yeah. But either way, this is really, really cool. Just shows again the extent and awesomeness that's going to go down in this battle for Dathomir in this second season. So that's all we had for Ahsoka Season 2 today, but it's tiny and cool, but it's really awesome. So that's it for Ahsoka Season 2. Now let's talk about the KOTOR remake. Since we were talking about the Old Republic, might as well bring up the thing that was announced even longer ago. You think Dawn of the Jedi being announced 3 years ago and not having an update is bad. This game was announced 6 years ago? Maybe 5? Let's see if the article tells us. You know what? Let me shut up and read the article. Let's see if it tells us. I bet you it does. I'll bet you any amount of money that it does. Star Wars KOTOR remake still in active development. Developer confirms. Here we go. Great news. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake is still being actively worked on, according to the executive at the game's publisher. This small update will at least end speculation that the game is canceled, because it's not, which is incredible news. This has become a yearly tradition at this point. That's true. As we know, Saber Initiative took over the project from the Embracer Group a few years ago. Saber Chief Creative Officer Tim Willits told IGN in a new interview that the KOTOR remake is still very much alive. He specifically told the publication that, yes, it is still in development. That's all I can say. So no release date, no nothing, but the fact that it's still in development is exciting. It is almost a year to this day that Willits said something similar. He tweeted that everything that we have talked about is still in development. We will share information on upcoming games when we have something cool to share. So I guess over the last year, he's had nothing cool to share. On this same day, it was published by GameFile that Saber CEO told the outlet that production is still ongoing. Plus, they want to allow Disney to take the lead on the marketing for this project. Let's see. I guess it doesn't say. When did this teaser trailer drop? Was it 2021 or 2020? Somebody in the chat help me out. Given Mad Head Games are busy with Hellraiser revival this year, we should not expect to see KOTOR remake for some time. Later this year, it will be will have been 5 years since the remake was announced. Okay, so 5 years. 2021. 5 years since this was announced during Sony PlayStation Showcase. The lack of transparency around the project has been quite crucial. Or farcial? English. We might as well just speak Huttese on this channel. Still, there is a hope that one day fans will see a remade KOTOR for modern standards. Not just that, but a canon remake. That was the big deal with this. It was a canon remake. And that's what we wanted. Back in December, GameFile also spotted court documents that confirmed the existence, or at the very least, plans for KOTOR 2 remake, and that is still technically on the roadmap, according to Lucasfilm Games General Manager and VP Douglas Riley. So not only are we getting KOTOR remake, but KOTOR 2 remake as well. And when it comes to KOTOR 2, the big deal was that a ton of that game had to be scrapped because it was pushed out so quickly because of the success of the first game, and a remake of it might fix the game. Because it's not that the game wasn't good, the second game. It just was rushed. It was just rushed. So, great news when it comes to KOTOR. Great news, because this is still in active development, and I still think that they're planning on doing the whole Old Republic stuff, from live-action shows to live-action movies to animated shows to whatever, to video games, all at the same time. Just as this year, we're getting Ahsoka Season 2 and The Mandalorian and Grogu and Galactic Racer, which all take place in the exact same spot in the timeline, right after the original trilogy. So I think they're going to switch their focus eventually over to the Old Republic era, which would be nice. All right, let's talk a little Star Wars Starfighter here, shall we? Let's talk a little bit about Star Wars Starfighter, because this is really, really cool. Actually, I'm going to leave you guys on a cliffhanger there for a second, because I want to get to this first before our special guest gets here. So let's start here before we get there. This happened a couple days ago, so I wanted to get to this. Skeleton Crew. The forgotten show, almost. I loved Skeleton Crew. I think it's so underrated. It's one of those projects, it almost feels to me like the Solo a Star Wars story of live action shows. It's just forgotten about. people don't give it the respect it deserves, because this show is awesome. You watch it start to finish. It might even be better as a binge watch, but you watch it start to finish, it is so good. And the hype around it wasn't really there because it's not connected to legacy characters. It's not really connected much to anything, really. And it follows the backlash of the Acolyte and all that other stuff. So it didn't have much going for it right away, but it is still one of the most underrated things that we've ever gotten. And it did just win 4 awards for Emmy Awards, I should say, for the show, which is just awesome. Now, we did talk about a couple weeks ago the possibility of getting a Skeleton Crew Season 2. And tell me in the chat if you do want a Skeleton Crew Season 2. But the likelihood of seeing that is probably pretty high unless they just throw in those characters into a, I guess, crossover type event thing, you know? Unless that's something that they want to do without doing a second season. But I'd prefer a Season 2 and then go into the crossover type thing. But all that to say, this is really, really cool. 4 awards for Skeleton Crew, which is pretty great. But with that being said, let's go to the Starfighter news. So, honestly, not an update you think we would get for Starfighter, but either way, here we are. Starfighter's bold new 2027 movie, starring Ryan Gosling, directed by Sean Levy, is quote-unquote punk. Not what I thought I'd hear. With, quote-unquote, a tremendous ending. Oh, somebody's gonna die. Okay. Star Wars Starfighter actor Daniel Ings hails the franchise's 2027 movie for its punk feel and tremendous ending. Ings, who plays fan favorite character Lionel Baratheon in HBO's Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I just watched Night of the Seven Kingdoms. What? Wait. Who does he play? Oh, he's the guy who helps him in the gladiator thing, in the whatever they call it, the guy he dances with. Is this the guy he dances with? No way, I didn't know that. That's even cooler. I mean, we've talked about the loaded cast for Starfighter before, but I didn't know that this was that guy. Okay. Although his role and those of Ryan Gosling and the other co-stars remain under wraps, so we don't know his role in the movie, the upcoming film, directed by Sean Levy and written by Jonathan Tropper, is set around 5 years after The Rise of Skywalker and is meant to be a standalone adventure focused on new characters. In December 2025, Sean Levy shared on the Instagram account that they wrapped filming. So a couple months ago, they wrapped filming. In an interview with Screen Rant's Liam Crowley for A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, Daniel Ings spoke about the surreal experience of working on a Star Wars movie, in which Levy made it a positive experience that felt huge while still being just as creative as many of the actor's prior projects. He also teased that he had most of my stuff with Ryan Gosling, who was so playful. So we don't even know the extent of Daniel Ings's character in this movie, whether he's just playing a small role or a very, very big role. But what we do know now is that a lot of his stuff is with Ryan Gosling on the screen. So it would make sense that, I don't know why, but every time I see this Squadron stuff, any news we get about Squadrons, I immediately think of Rogue One. Just the ensemble cast of Rogue One. Like, to me, I think Jyn Erso is Ryan Gosling. And I guess it's a different relationship because Flynn Grey is going to be this child that he's going to be looking after, but I don't think he's going to be like Grogu where he needs help all the time, like season 1 Grogu, where Ryan Gosling isn't just going to be protecting this kid, but this kid's going to be fighting alongside Ryan Gosling. So all that to say, I think of it very much like Rogue One, where Daniel Ings might be playing a character much like Bodhi, like the pilot, or something like that, where he's a smaller role, but the majority of his scenes are with Jyn Erso, the Ryan Gosling of the movie. So here's what he had to say. I wonder if it's maybe still hasn't sunk in yet, the fact that he was in Star Wars. It was such a fun experience. I met Sean Levy, the director, to read for the part, and he's inherently playful and clearly set up an environment where people can bounce off each other and find things in the moment. So in a way, any kind of nervousness about stepping into something so established and beloved and as huge as Star Wars dissipated because I got there and was like, oh, this is fun and playful. I mean, that's what you like to hear. Sean Levy, all we've heard about this guy is that he's the best on set and he's this genius and makes everything fun and all that. So this is, again, a reiteration of all that. And Ryan Gosling, who I had most of my stuff with, again, was so playful with it and hunting for interesting moments. I was able to go in and be like, yeah, this is huge, but it still feels creative as being on Love Stick or The Gentleman or something like that. I loved it. So I don't know what any of that means. Like the Love Stick, The Gentleman, never heard of it. But having said that, Star Wars is this massive thing. And usually they go out and get actors that most people don't know. Starfighter doing the exact opposite of that. But for the most part, you get like your Daisy Ridleys, your John Boyegas, your Adam Drivers, your Mark Hamills, your Carrie Fishers, your Harrison Fords, and those names may sound familiar to you, but at the time they were not. And it's a big thing to join that. This is the biggest franchise of all time. Nothing even comes close. And to join that would be this massive experience, but they make it feel smaller and like any other movie that they've worked on before. And the coolest part about all this is not that he has most of his scenes with Ryan Gosling, but he goes on to say here, yeah, we'll keep reading. We'll keep reading. So he goes on to say, I felt great. He's talking about the ending of this movie. So spoke about Starfighter's ending and whether he ultimately feels satisfied on how the movie concludes. So this is all about the ending of the movie. I felt great. I felt tremendous about it. Tremendous is a nice word. I effing loved it. Now we're just getting crazy. I got nothing to add there. I got nothing. No issues for me. Listen, it was Star Wars through and through. There were days when I was walking around and there were droids rolling around and animatronic heads and just hundreds of people in these amazing costumes. But there was a sort of punk feel to it. I love it, and I felt excellent about it. Now, punk is not usually the word I would use to describe Star Wars, but you do get that feeling of at least the original trilogy of the Cantina, of that sort of dirtier underworld feel of Star Wars. And I think this movie's going to tap into that. That's what we got from last week's leaks when it came to this movie. People talking about how this feels like Star Wars. It has that feeling back of the original trilogy. And that's what I think he's kind of conveying here, too. You're walking around the set, there's hundreds of droids and animatronic heads and aliens and just a lot of practical effects from the sounds of it. And that sounds to me like the Cantina, like anything we saw from the original trilogy. And as he says, the ending is tremendous and he effing loves it. So, not much to go off of here. We don't know much about the plot of this movie. However, that's pretty good to hear. And it does sound like his character may have a pretty big role if he at least was there until the end. He knows the ending of the movie. If he had a small role, I'm sure he wouldn't even know the ending of the movie. But he's alongside Ryan Gosling's character for a majority of his scenes, and he knows the ending of the film. Sounds like Bodhi to me. Sounds like he might be a Bodhi-esque character or a Chirrut-esque character from Rogue One. But that's the only thing I have to compare off of it because we don't know anything about Starfighter. Except that Tom Cruise was on set filming a lightsaber duel, which doesn't make any sense at all. So, you have that. Yeah. Okay. But with that, that's the update that we have for Star Wars Starfighter. Tell me in the chat on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Star Wars Starfighter? I know it doesn't come out for another year, but it is the next Star Wars movie after The Mandalorian and Grogu. So tell me in the chat, how excited are you for that film? And our guest has arrived. So tell me out of 10, how excited are you for that movie? And we are about to talk about, my favorite Star Wars project of all time, ladies and gentlemen. So strap in your seatbelts. Returning again due to popular demand because for some reason you guys like her more than me. You know what? Maybe I won't introduce her. Maybe I'll just keep her off screen and she won't come on screen. And no. Okay, fine. Introducing, brought back to popular demand, the great Samantha, who has now seen Star Wars Rebels. Hang on. There you go. Oh.
Hello.
Oh, there you go.
What, can they hear me?
I think so. Can you hear?
Hello.
Let's find out.
Hello.
Yes, they can
Can
hear
we
you.
hear me?
Yeah, get closer to the mic, though.
I gotta get closer to the mic. Hello, everyone.
There
Long
you
time
go.
no see. Good to see all of you.
Okay, so since they've last seen you,
Yes.
we've talked about Kenobi, right? Kenobi was before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just Rebels.
Just
So
Rebels.
since you've last seen Samantha, we have finished Rebels.
Yes, we have.
And as you guys know, I'm very, very excited. I love me some Rebels. Rebels is the greatest thing of all time, and it's fantastic.
Rebels is great.
But now we get the take of somebody who is not insane. Is not.
They don't know that.
Yeah, true. Is not as crazy as I may be when it comes to things.
You're gonna be more specific.
No, just things.
Things like just killing everyone off things?
What?
What? That's what they say.
No, they don't.
Yes.
They've never said that before.
Mm.
And I've never killed off anybody before either.
Guys, let me know in the chat if you think that Mike kills people off.
Kanan Jarrus?
Is still alive.
No, he's not. Yeah, so I didn't kill him off, but I should have. No, the channel wasn't around yet for me to kill off Kanan. I would have, though. I would have done it. I would have killed them all off. But that's because they weren't in the original trilogy. Whatever. All right, you know that. So let's talk about a little bit of specifics here. So I guess just as a whole, all 4 seasons.
Yes.
Can you give it a ranking out of 10? Can you give just Rebels as a whole a ranking out of 10? We won't go into individual seasons because that'd just be way too much.
Mm-hmm. Rebels as a whole out of 10.
And whoa. We'll give a little bit of give you a chance to think because we'll ask the chat to do so as well. On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give Rebels? Just tell me in the chat because for me, it's a 10 out of 10 easily. Like it's the most simple. If I could break the scale, I would. It is just that good. And as we watched it too, you always like maybe hype things up in your mind. Star Wars fans tend to do the opposite, which is, make things way worse in their minds.
Okay.
For example, like a lot of shows like Kenobi and things that you haven't watched yet.
Mm-hmm.
But people always tend to think that it's way worse. And then when they go back and watch it, they go, oh, that wasn't as bad as I remember. But I was very worried that I would have the exact opposite reaction to Rebels because I love Rebels so much. And I was worried that I was going to go watch it and be like, it was not as great as I remember it being. But it actually was even better than I remember it being. It was that good. And it's not just like I knew season 1 was sort of introducing the characters and season 2, whatever. And then Twilight of the Apprentice is great. And then you get to season 3 with Thrawn and the twin sons and Maul and all that. But season 4, that 15 episodes, it's just 15 episodes, are all just banger after banger after banger. Kanan dies with like 5 episodes left, and you're like, holy crap, what's happening? All the Loth Wolf stuff, I forgot how great that was. And the ending. I mean, the ending is the ultimate cliffhanger, which didn't really connect to me that cliffhanger was around for like 6 years. Like, you don't have to wait 6 years for the cliffhanger to be resolved, but it was 6 years. Which is crazy.
I almost don't want to get caught up because then I'm gonna have to wait for things like everyone else.
Yeah, welcome to our world.
Right now, I can just watch it instantly and get the answers immediately.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
gonna have to wait.
Well, as Ian says, it starts off shaky, but then it gets good. It's just like any other show, and that's what we always bring up when we talk about the stupidity of the cancellation of The Acolyte, because a first season of any show, The Mandalorian, the Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch, Andor even, almost always, and I guess with everything I just mentioned, always, every single second season is better than the first. Because you already got to know those characters, you already have relationships with them, you have emotional connections to them.
Right.
So whatever happens in the second season, in the third, and the fourth season and beyond, you feel more for the character. If Tech dies in season 1 of Bad Batch, you don't care as much as when he dies in the second season. If Kanan died in season 1, you wouldn't care at all. But because it's season 4 and you have that whole Hera and Kanan relationship, it's heartbreaking. Same with like Fives in season 6 of Clone Wars or whatever. Season 1 of The Acolyte being canceled for a second season, somehow we'll always bring that up. But it starts off slow, absolutely, because you have to get to know these characters.
Right.
It's what the payoff is for. So now, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you rank this show?
I'm feeling in my heart that I'm putting Rebels at. I wish I should go back and figure out what I ranked everything else at, or I should sit down and make myself a list.
We
after
should.
having watched everything.
We should have a Samantha's ranking list.
We should, and then we can adjust things accordingly.
Yeah.
And I can base off, because I don't remember what I know. I ranked Clone Wars high, and Bad Batch was high as well. I'm feeling the number 9.4 is standing out to me.
Nice.
I liked Rebels a lot, and yeah, I mean, obviously the first season is establishing the characters and everything, but definitely got attached to them, as I knew I would. And it was weird, like in the beginning you were like, oh, it's gonna be a different animation style, so like don't let that bother you. And I remember like we first looked at, like when we first started watching it, it was very different, but then by the end I forgot that it was even a different animation style. I just thought that was how things had always been. But then every once in a while I would like see somebody and be like, they don't actually look like that. Like
well, once you start seeing familiar faces, like when you saw Ahsoka at first, you were like, I don't like this. And then you did.
I was like, what happened to Ahsoka?
Yeah.
Why'd she look like that?
But that's my only complaint with Rebels ever is the animation style, and it still doesn't take you away from how great the story is. Like I said, Bo-Katan looks atrociously bad. Yoda looks horrendously bad. Anakin looks so bad, but it doesn't matter because the story is just so good. Even Palpatine, like when he's a hologram in that final episode, he looks so weird, and then it just doesn't matter. The story is so good that
he looks like younger, I feel like, than he did.
Well, that was the gist of it. He was trying to trick Ezra because the attack on his life has left him scarred.
Right.
So he's already deformed at that point. He's not. He's just trying to mess with Ezra and trying to get him to open the world between worlds, which, by the way, still, we don't know why. Like, the world between worlds is still such an open-ended question of Palpatine wants to tap into that power, but can't. Ezra could, and he wants Ezra to do it again so that he can get in, but why does he want to get in? What does Palpatine know about the world between worlds that we don't is sort of a big question that still now, after 8 years, exists and isn't even answered, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And I guess we assume that he doesn't tap into it because he's dead, and then he somehow returns, and then he's dead again, and then he somehow returns, and then he's dead again, and then he somehow returns again, and then he somehow returns probably again. But somehow. But yeah, that whole stuff in that fourth season is just all awesome. What did you think of? Because everybody talks about it, the Maul versus Obi-Wan in season 3.
Oh my God, that was. I don't know. I kind of was like, Maul's just gonna live forever. Like, Maul can never die. People have tried to kill him so many times, he's just made it out. Like, I don't know. I wasn't expecting that at all. But at the same time, like that episode, he was losing it. Like he
starts the opening scene of that episode is him going, in my mind's eye, I can see him. And he's literally just sitting by himself in the sand.
Yeah.
He's like, Kenobi!
He's losing it.
He's losing it a little bit.
I mean, obviously he wanted to go there and kill him, but I mean he made it. He found Obi-Wan.
Yeah, he didn't really make it.
No, he didn't really make it. But that was a crazy scene, and it ended so quick. It wasn't even like a fight. He
Yep.
just it was his time, I guess.
Yeah, well,
He was not in fighting shape by the
Nah.
time he found Obi-Wan.
yeah, it's two old men fighting each other. It was supposed to be quick, and it only makes sense that it's quick because that's still only a year, give or take, before A New Hope.
Mhm.
And A New Hope has Obi-Wan fighting, and he's really, really old. So like you can't have him jumping around versus Maul, and then a couple of years later him being old. But yeah, that's such a great scene. And as you put it, like Maul has been obsessed with, when he gets cut in half by Obi-Wan, the only thing that keeps him alive in the Clone Wars is his obsession with getting revenge on Obi-Wan.
Right.
And then he thinks Obi-Wan dies in Order 66. So Maul Shadow Lord comes out in 30 days, 29 days. Where we are going to pick up with him is now his new obsession is want for revenge for Palpatine.
Right.
Because Palpatine deserted him and killed his brother. So then he's going to go for 15 years of obsession with Palpatine.
Yep.
Figure out that he can't defeat Palpatine and his whole empire is going to be destroyed. We meet back up with him on Malachor 5 where he's just hanging out, finds Ezra, and then he finds out that Obi-Wan is still alive.
Yep.
So he has truly lost his mind completely.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he loses, his mind sort of clears and he goes, what is Obi-Wan doing here?
Right.
And that's the coolest part, where he goes to see the Chosen One. Which, by the way, I always argue with the chat because they always say Anakin's the Chosen One and blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
But right there, Obi-Wan and Maul would tell you that Luke Skywalker is the Chosen One. And we'll get to the original trilogy soon, and you'll see why. But yeah, that's sort of up for debate. I still think it's Anakin because, well, I don't think anybody's the Chosen One, but the true Chosen One prophecy is the Mortis gods, who we saw that
We did.
his Anakin's supposed to be the replacement for the father, and that's the Chosen One prophecy. It has nothing to do with the Jedi, it has nothing to do with the Sith, it has nothing to do with anybody who's physically real. But yeah, Obi-Wan versus Maul is top 10 saddest scenes in Star Wars. I don't know about saddest, it's pretty epic. I mean, I can think of 10 sadder scenes, but it is pretty epic. Maul is my third favorite character ever, and his death is a perfect one, which is not easy to say for many characters. Kanan's death is a perfect one, which, anything to say about that?
I would just like to say, I would like to give myself credit here. I did know that it was coming, and you can attest to that. As soon as the episode started, I was like, Kanan is going to die. And I felt like Mike. I felt like I was killing people off, and I felt like whatever you had is contagious, and I got it. And, but, I mean, I don't know. The whole episode is set up well to give him a goodbye to everyone, and even before that, you're kind of like, what's going on with these Loth wolves? Like, there's something here. They're saying Doom. His last name is actually Doom. Like, what is going on here? It's just devastating. You know that I love a happy ending, and obviously that's not a happy ending. And I don't know how many of you were on the last stream that I was on, but I mentioned too that I had been on TikTok and I saw somebody like left a comment and they were like, "Oh, list of tragic Star Wars couples," and Kanan and Hera were on it. And I went and I told Mike, and I was like, what is gonna happen? Like, one of them is gonna die at some point. And he was able to very sneakily convince me, no, it must just be that like he lost his vision, and that's the tragic part of it. And I was like, all right, I guess that checks out. Like, maybe not everybody has to die. And then we got closer to that episode, and I was like, I don't know about this. They can't all make it out of this alive. Good news though was that
Zeb.
I knew that Zeb was gonna live because Mike sent me one of his videos, and I saw Zeb in the thumbnail, and I was like, oh my god, Zeb lives. So there was a couple times where, you know, the whole crew was in situations that I wasn't sure if they were gonna make it out, but I was like, well, chances are they make it out because I know Zeb lives, and chances of him getting out just on his own like that wouldn't really make sense for the storyline. So I was glad to have that peace of mind that I knew somebody was gonna make it out. But then I was like, okay, well, somebody else is gonna die. Like, there has to be, like, we're not at the end of the show yet. Like, there has to be something else. And then I was like, oh my god, is Ezra gonna die? Because then I felt like he was having like weird things in the last two episodes, where I was like, he's kind of saying his goodbyes. He's setting up plans. Like, there's something fishy going on here. And Mike was like, but I don't know what you said to me, but you were like, no, he can't die. Like, there's. I don't remember
I
what
think
you
he said he's a child.
Oh yeah, you were like, he has so much
he's
life
so
to
young.
live. You're so young.
He's so young. Which is
Um,
the same argument I make about Grogu to this day. So,
What happened to Grogu?
oh, he's dead already now. I'm kidding. You think they would kill off the child? There's no way.
No, I feel like I would have known about that if that
Yeah.
happened, even though I haven't seen that yet.
But technically, the child is like, never mind.
But yeah, no, Kanan dying. It was very sad, but surprisingly I did not cry. But I think it was just because I saw it coming the whole time that when it happened, I was like, I'm right.
Yeah.
Like, so,
Yeah.
but it was devastating. But then I didn't cry because I was also just in denial. I was like, I'm right, but at the same time, he's gonna live somehow.
Yeah, and then like the following 2 episodes is the World Between Worlds.
Yeah.
And Ezra's like, I can save him, and then runs and sees him, and Ahsoka's like, no, you can't.
I know. Oh my god,
Yeah.
him pulling Ahsoka out too was crazy because obviously I knew that Ahsoka was gonna live because I know that there's an Ahsoka show, and I was like, it would have been pretty hard to have an Ahsoka show if she was dead. And it's in the future.
This is such a no. This story is incorrect.
Why is the story incorrect?
Twilight of the Apprentice happens. Season 2 finale happens. Vader and Ahsoka are fighting in the temple on Malachor 5. And Ezra and Kanan blast off, and it's like Ahsoka dies.
Okay, I'm not saying initially the whole time I was like,
you were like, I'm not watching the rest of the show if Ahsoka's not in it.
yeah, that's true. Well, because don't spoil it in the chat for me, but I'm under the impression right now that she does die at some point. I don't know. She ends up in the World Between Worlds, but maybe I just don't know what that. I don't know. For the longest time, I thought that she dies in the show. I'm not gonna look at the chat. Why are you making that face?
What?
Ahsoka lives forever. But yeah, I was sad, but it was just a sad moment when the temple's falling and she's trying to save her old master and she's living all this regret because she thought he was dead this whole time. Like she would have tried to save him sooner. And
I won't leave you. Not this time.
I know it was so. And I just love Ahsoka.
Well, every
so
time we watch the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer, which we can't watch with you right now, but every time we watch it, one of the characters in the trailer goes, "This is not about revenge." And every time I think of Anakin or Vader in that moment saying, "Revenge is not the Jedi way," and Ahsoka going, "Well, I'm no Jedi." And
I know.
It's so epic.
That was so epic. First saying I'm no
Well,
Jedi.
that's the thing.
was
Like when you talk about best
peak.
arcs or best episodes of any Star Wars ever, Twilight of the Apprentice Part 1, Part 2 is always in that conversation. And it's the finale of Season 2
Yeah.
of that show. And
Yeah.
what's really crazy about Rebels, after having sort of binged it very quickly, is the first season, the bad guy is the Grand Inquisitor. And he's an Inquisitor. He's a Force user. He's badass. He's warning Kanan that something crazy is going to happen. Because like when he's hanging onto the edge, Kanan like offers to save him or whatever, and he's like, some things are more scary than death, and he falls.
Yeah.
And then Vader comes in Season 2, and the other Inquisitors come in Season 2. So it's more Force users, more of all that.
Yeah.
And then Season 3 comes around, and the Force users are gone, and it's just Thrawn.
Yeah.
And it's Thrawn versus Jedi, Kanan and Ezra, and versus the Rebels, and he just outsmarts all of them. The genius of Thrawn is, well, I mean, he's a freaking genius. But
Yes.
the coolest part about Thrawn is that he's a Legends character brought to canon. He's one of the biggest ones to do so. They've done it before with other characters, but in Legends, people have sort of glorified him as this incredible heir to the Empire because that's what he is in Legends. He's the heir to Palpatine. But in canon, he's a way better character, and he actually has 2 book trilogies in canon already that tell his backstory and I guess the story in between Rebels stories. Like when he leaves, when Kanan dies. So when he leaves and Kanan dies and then he comes back in the finale.
Yeah.
So in that time when he leaves Lothal, one of those books is about that time, like where he goes and what he does.
The whole book?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, one of the trilogies takes place in between the stories of Rebels, like before Season 1 and 2, and then one's in between, and then one's at that end.
Okay.
And then the second trilogy is a prequel to all of that when he's still with his own people, because there's a whole army, or not whole army, a whole world of blue mean people. I guess they're not all mean, but you know. And the reason he joins the Empire is to protect his people. It's this whole thing. But he has 2 full trilogies about himself, and that story is so much better than the Legend story. Either way. I digress. Thrawn is such a great character, and the fact that Ezra and Thrawn, I guess, disappear is pretty great. Now, without, you don't know. So, do you have any theories on where Ezra and Thrawn went? The Purg will come in and just, zippity zooda out there. Well, I guess the ending of the show is he tells Sabine,
to go find him.
yeah, he says something like, I need your help, or he says something like, I'm trusting you, or whatever. I'm counting on you. He says, I'm counting on you. So, but the prologue, the epilogue of that finale is Sabine talking about it's after the originals.
Yep.
And Ahsoka comes and picks her up, and they're like, I'm going to find Ezra.
Right.
Where do you think he went? Any idea?
No, I don't have any clue where he went.
Well, it has to be a place where at least for 5 to 10 years, nobody found him. Nobody found him or Thrawn or any of them. So it's somewhere pretty hidden.
The world between worlds.
That's not how that works. No.
Dang.
No. It is in the physical realm.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you ever will. Well, you will once we get to it, which is a while. Because we're on Andor now.
I haven't heard of this place already. Or you know where they are.
Oh, we know where they are, yes.
Oh.
You watched the Ahsoka trailer.
Yeah.
And Thrawn was in it.
That's true.
Yeah. Ezra wasn't, but Thrawn was. So, Andor. So we are, 3 episodes into Andor? We watched the first arc of Andor.
Yeah.
And maybe we started the 4th episode. Either way, we're in
know.
the first arc of Andor.
Mm-hmm.
Andor's a tough one because there's so many new characters and you just got to know them. 3 episodes, that's it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of names. Bix, Marva, Brazo, Cassian, Luthen, more. And now in the next arc, you're going to meet Cyril, yes. In the next arc, you're going to meet even more people.
Oh.
So season 1, Cyril's like my least favorite character, maybe in all of Star Wars, behind Sid from the Bad Batch.
Oh, Sid.
And then season 2, he's like one of my favorites ever. So Cyril does have a great arc.
So why are you spoiling it for me?
I'm not. I'm just saying because you're going to hate him. Like, not hate him because he's a bad guy, but just hate him because his arc sucks. He literally, his name's Cyril, and he's eating cereal. Like, it's the stupidest thing you've ever seen ever.
That's
it's so
peak.
dumb.
I don't know where you're talking
No, it's
about.
horrible. But season 2 is great.
Okay.
Season 1 is great too.
Mm-hmm.
Just not for that character.
Okay.
But any first opinions, thoughts on Andor going from an animated show for a long time to a live action show? Anything?
It was weird to watch live action again. I mean, I know that we just watched Kenobi. Like, we watched Kenobi right before Rebels. Yeah. But still, we watched 4 seasons of Rebels, and it was Bad Batch before that, and Clone Wars before that, right?
Yeah.
Was that our path? So that was a weird adjustment. I was like, it just doesn't feel right to be watching this in live action. Like it feels like it should be animated. I don't know what I'm watching right now. I would say I was just very confused and am still confused. I feel like just the structure, like, I don't know. It's just in like a very like small, like it's on a small scale, and it's like zoomed into just like one area. Yeah. And like, I don't know, I feel like we haven't really, or maybe we haven't, I just haven't, it's not coming to my mind right now, but like been in that small of a space like for that long, and like kind of understanding like almost like they're the police.
Yep.
And like,
yeah, you're focusing on one very, very specific planet with Ferrix.
Yeah.
And I guess the other planet.
Yeah.
But it is that though. Like the Rebels was a focus on a Jedi and his Padawan in this ghost crew.
True.
And that was one Rebel cell. This is more so take all the Jedi and the Force out of it. This is the ground level normal Rebel guy.
Yeah.
And his journey into
this
becoming
is what
a Rebel.
The average person experiences.
Yeah. So it's more of the ground level building up of the rebellion. Because right now, I mean, Cassian, what you saw was he kills those police. Well, he kills the first guy by accident.
Yep.
Then he has to kill the second guy to cover that up.
Right.
And that's puts him in deep doo-doo this time. So he has to now cover that up, or at least get out of town. And in doing so, of course, Tim, the great Tim, R.I.P. Tim, rats him out, and then he goes through that whole thing where Luthen comes to town.
Yeah.
But that's sort of just kickstarting him off into it, because up until that point, Cassian's just stealing from the Empire to make money to live. Like, that's it. He's not a rebel by any definition of the word, but Luthen is, and he comes into town, and he's not coming into town for the box that he has. He's coming in for Cassian specifically. That's why he knows about his dad and all that other stuff. And then we go from there. So right now, Cassian's leaving with Luthen because he has to, because there's no other way. He would have been captured or whatever.
Yeah, he does not have the resources to
to
stay away. They'll catch him eventually.
Yeah, and as Luthen said, don't you want to fight these bastards for real? And we'll see if he does want to do that, because
we shall see. I assume so, because there's multiple seasons of the show.
Yeah, but he doesn't seem like he wants to. But you'll see.
Can't go back home.
No, we cannot. I like the second arc more than most people do in this season.
Okay.
It's, I guess, the not a Delphi base, because that's not what I'm talking about, but it's the Aldani. Aldani arc is your next 3 episodes. I really like that personally. The arc following that is people's favorite of the first season. I might like this next one even better, but they're 2 back-to-back really, really good arcs, and then the final arc is sort of all of it coming together. And then season 2. So a lot to look forward to. Andor season 1, 2, Rogue One, which is like a trilogy sort of in and of itself.
Okay.
Because the very end of Andor season 2 goes right into the very beginning of Rogue One. The very end of Rogue One goes right into the beginning of A New Hope in the original trilogy. So like it's the prequels, the originals, and the sequels, and then the Andor trilogy pretty much, because it's season 1, season 2, and Rogue One. And it's all great. And then we get to the Mandoverse, and we're gonna just watch a lot of Mando stuff. So
great.
We're almost there. We're getting there. We're getting there.
I don't know.
We'll have to watch some Andor today. But okay. With that, though, let's end this poll. Actually, whoa, this is a very close poll. I don't even know what it is. Oh, is Dawn of the Jedi still going to happen? 51% of you say no. 49% say yes. I am fully on board the yes bandwagon here. I just think it'll be a while. Like that because of James Mangold being so busy and Mr. Willimon being so busy, it's not going to happen for a while, but it's not something that has to happen for a while. They have at least 3 years until they have to even start filming this movie. So I think we'll be just fine. Just fine. It's a good way to start watching Andor, Rogue One, and then 4, 5, 6. I've been thinking about that just in terms of which way to watch this stuff. Because I feel like watching Rogue One first and then going back and watching Andor and then watching Rogue One again is an interesting way to do it, because you watch Rogue One just for the movie itself, and then when you watch Andor and then Rogue One again, Andor does change the way you watch Rogue One. So it'd be interesting to watch it first and then do it. But we're not going to do that, because that's just...
It's too late.
It's too late. Plus it just, I guess
maybe you can advise people who haven't seen Star Wars before to watch it that way.
The most impossible question to answer is, how do you watch Star Wars when you've never seen it before? Because where do you start? And people would say, oh, you start with episode 4 because it's the way it was made. But then, it's just...
That's how we started, though, no?
I don't know. Either way, it's like when we watch Rebels, it sort of spoils the original trilogy, because the epilogue of Rebels is Sabine going, oh, and we won the Battle of Endor, and the Emperor was destroyed, and like she spoils the whole original trilogy in that one couple whatever. But so I guess you technically can't watch it in order, because it's, well, I don't know. I don't know
either. You'd have to be careful about knowing what scenes may or may not spoil stuff.
Or I guess you'd just be like, well, what's the Battle of Endor? And then you have to wait and see.
True.
I don't know. Either way, you're on a nice big cliffhanger for Ezra, Thrawn, and the Ghost crew. Hera had a child, too. We didn't talk about that, but Jason Syndulla. But we're on a nice big cliffhanger for that. We're starting Andor. We're in a great spot. A great spot. But if you have not already, smash a freaking like on this stream. Hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. And my pretty face shows up on the recommended feed of yours. I always say that, but my face isn't even in the thumbnails.
So you're a liar. Liar!
No.
Incorrect.
Sometimes my face is... If you look back of like the 1,000 videos I have, maybe 3 of them have my face in them.
You should just start hiding very, very small photos of your face.
Yes. All right, we'll start doing that. But until next time, Djarin is 100% going to die. Rotta the Hutt, let's take a look at Stinky. Oh, you remember Stinky from the Clone Wars movie? This is him right here.
No way.
Yeah, that's him. Okay.
Stinky, all grown up.
He's shredded. Well, I'll show you.
That too.
Look at this. So that was Stinky when you last saw him.
Stinky.
So what's funny is this is the last time you saw him. This is the last time anybody saw him. And now here he is all grown up. You can actually tell by the eyes and the nose that it's the same character. Like they did it looks like a grown up version of that
They
character.
did a good job.
But there you do.
Does he not have like a body in that first photo?
He's got a tail.
Okay.
Like he has a tail there.
Okay.
He's
It's just disproportionate.
What do you? He's like round as a child. Yeah. But there he is, all badass, holding axes for fun.
Oh my.
But you'll have to wait a while to. It's not a spoiler because we haven't even seen him yet. This is the first we're seeing of him. So there you have it. But yes, Dawn of the Jedi. I don't think it's going to be canceled. Starfighter's ending is tremendous. Skeleton Crew won some awards. Maul's in 29 days. And the Star Wars news just keeps on coming. But
Love that. Love the
love
Star Wars
it.
news. Mm-hmm.
But until next time, may the Force be with you. Always.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
I pressed the wrong button! There we go. I guess we don't question how the Hutts go to the bathroom. So don't do that, Chet. Don't be putting those things into my head, Chet. No thanks. Now I'm gonna be stuck thinking about that for the rest of the day. Thanks a lot, Chet. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. This was an incredible stream. Shout out to our fantabulous guests. Samantha, do you want to say goodbye to the Chet?
Goodbye, chat.
Okay. Chopper fixed the hyperspace, at least for today. He's been off and on. As of late, he's been messing with me, and he might
He
have
fixed it the last time I was here too. It
Maybe-
worked the last time I was here.
Maybe Chopper just likes you more than me. Like this is
Duh.
this is cyberbullying. Don't cyberbully. Hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.